can't engage for you. You're gonna pull her back and knock her or fire her forward again. So I think Kalista might be an option. Can be tough though against a Zyra Caitlyn lane.
Yeah.
Oh, gonna be so tough. Nuclear, 2 games played on that Caitlyn, undefeated. For Che, 9 games on that Zyra. Very, very comfortable. If this Camille goes support, then what are we looking at for a top lane here from Soaz in this last rotation?
Oh, that's the difficult one, because I think if it goes support, that opens up the Kalista, and you can pick something like a Nautilus to go alongside it. But if Jezis plays the Misfortune into the Zyra, you don't want to pair that with Kalista.
Oh.
And if they do...
You're against Zyra Caitlyn! Are you insane? Are you... Like, Jesus. Okay, I love me some Twitch. But that man also got nerfed, got taken down quite a bit, and he's laning phase, while better after that little rework he got. Against Zyra Caitlyn, that is not a fun lane.
For the record, Martin, it's pronounced Jezis, and that's going to be a Gragas going up to the top lane instead. So, could be Gragas support. We still do have the double flex here, as the Gragas support picked by a couple of teams in the last week of the regular split. More likely to be top lane.
Yeah, I think it's going to be top lane Gragas here. He is the safest blind pick on top side, because if you go Nautilus, you get counter picked by things like Kennen, Kled, and these kind of things. Gnar, that is really annoying for you to deal with. Gragas can kind of stand against them. But it does mean we get a tank v tank matchup. Most likely, as you said though, could be the Gragas support. But I actually think Camille support, and it's like a fighting lane from Fnatic. That's what I'm hoping for at the moment. But Camille against Nautilus is pretty juicy as well for Fnatic.
Surely it has to be a fighting lane to go such a risky duo. Camille Twitch into what is going to be Caitlyn
Could still be
Zyra.
Gragas, could still be Gragas.
30
They're
seconds
swapping.
to swap. Let's anticipate the Camille support.
Yeah.
I think it's the most likely.
But if you choose that fight, you're going right into the grasping roots to Stranglethorn post 6 against a Caitlyn that can kind of just sit back. You've got to cross so much distance to close the gap. And if Broxah maybe can get a cocoon, that's the setup point for Fnatic.
I think that's the key thing, Stress, you highlight right there. Fnatic don't have to just 2v2 this lane. They have the early game jungler who can gank. Broxah's playstyle is very much based around constantly going to lanes, always looking for openings. So, in a game like this, Camille E to set up the stun into an early level 3 gank from Broxah is likely, and something Fnatic might have to do.
Might also see the LeBlanc drift with it as well, later into the game as
Why
well.
not?
You get the push, you move out to another lane. This looks like an explosive one out of Fnatic on this setup.
They're gambling though, but it's game 1. I like it. It's game 1. It's game 1.
If there were ever a chance to throw everything at your opponents, why not in game 1? Splice tried it twice before getting reverse swept yesterday. It's not over until the final Nexus falls. Gentlemen, there's the team compositions. I'd love to hear what the analyst desk has to say about it later. And we'll see whether or not we're going to get some results-based analysis, right? To see whether
It was great all
this
along.
Twitch and Camille works out. It is Fnatic versus H2K for a spot in the semifinals, for a shot at Hamburg. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Fnatic versus H2K. The last time these teams met in the playoffs was last summer, and Fnatic got egg on their faces. They lost 3-0. Let's find out if Fnatic can surprise anybody and everybody, because the expectation is that they're going to lose here today as well.
And of course, that was a very rough series, but I like this rejuvenated Fnatic. Even a couple of different plays here, trying to get Caitlyn closer in the bot side.
Yeah, so as body slammed over the Dragon Wall, was hoping that Nuclear or someone maybe would show near that bot lane Tribrush, and then you could sneak in behind them with the body slam. Fnatic is a team that, again, the last 2 weeks have started to kind of develop level 1 strategies. We've seen like some first bloods even before minions spawned last week against G2. They have some of these different strategies, and again, that's the thing. They play kind of their own style. H2K, as we said, is like, it's a meta team. Super try hard. You know, we know what's best in the meta. That's what we're picking. Rengar, Syndra, Nautilus, all that kind of jazz. And then you get Fnatic with the curveballs.
When they pick Twitch Camille in the bot lane. And,
exactly. Against Zyra, Caitlyn, you're like, okay, let's see how this plays out.
I'm waiting for that to go late game, and Reckless just stealths up into the solo lane against Febiven and 3-shots him once he's got a few items under him. Maybe also a lot of potency in team fights at the same time.
All right, potency and team fights for Reckless if they can get there, of course. And against some very difficult lanes with Syndra, Caitlyn, Zyra. I want to see how they handle it. Gentlemen, you'd mentioned how Broxah's level 3 gank in the bottom lane could be something they could use to unlock this Twitch and Camille. What needs to happen for Fnatic to pull that off?
Well, so one thing Elise players are doing at the moment is they run with one experience rune, and then what they do is they do Raptor, Wolves, and Rift Scuttler, and that actually gives them level 3, and they can show up in the lane very, very quickly. He's doing the Raptor red buff right now, which is the start of this one. There is a ward, though, from H2K in the river to spot this potential path, so they know Broxa is not going in for that Rift Scuttler, and he's not looking for that route at least.
And not only that, there's a ward in Tribush as well from the H2K bot lane to spot in case he's going a slightly unconventional if you go Krugs. And then into the lane, normally you recoil after that. The clear, people were calling the Korean style clear. So just in case there was an adaptation, gotta make sure you watch that Tribush.
That's what I like about, playoffs, 1 week prep for just one team is you really sit and go through the VODs and you look at these different things. And H2K have obviously been able to analyze that Broxa is a jungler who's very focused on early game. He's not been very impactful past the first 20 minutes. And that's why you see these early wards down to spot an Elise pathing, probably before he goes off stage. He's obviously reminding everyone, hey guys, Elise needs to snowball, Broxa needs to snowball. Careful in the start.
And not the only champion, Caps needs to snowball at the same time on this LeBlanc. We haven't really brought into it that is a second teleport being run by Fnatic, so they will have the numbers advantage in a lot of situations if they're the ones dictating the pace, and that's what this Elise wants to do. That's some tricky pathing up from Broxa just in case there's a ward in Tribush over onto the Krugs, but Jankos is on his way.
And also top lane, obviously Odo Amna is pushed pretty far up, and Odo Amna's ward here in the river doesn't really actually provide him any safety against this pathing here. Jankos didn't see it, so this is the first gank.
Let's look for the skill shot. Broxa needs to connect to the Cocoon, throws it point blank. Odo's going low and doesn't use his flash. First blood to Fnatic.
Of all of the wards placed by H2K, Broxa bypasses it with a blast cone in through the top side of the lane, and nobody from H2K can react. Easy first blood for Fnatic. That's exactly what they needed with this Elise.
Broxa showing why he's so good in the early game. With this Elise, they didn't go for the predictable path towards the bottom side that H2K had warded, would have been able to spot him. Instead, snuck his way to the top side. Odo Amna saved his flash because he realized, okay, I'm not getting away from this one, double buff Elise, and I'm really far away from my tower.
You're not going to get many easier cocoons than this one.
Oh, he's right there, right there.
Got it. Gets the first blood, easy setup. That's what Fnatic need to keep doing throughout this game one, and that's how you can really offset H2K. Remember, Caitlyn needs time in the bottom lane. It's only really this Syndra that has a lot of threat alongside the Rengar for this early portion of the game.
I'm very excited to see what Fnatic do next. The potential dive on the bottom lane with this Elise Twitch Camille, circumnavigated with some clever vision from H2K, and then you start looking at how the teams respond, right? Broxa playing very clever, very smart, avoiding vision. And as it stands, Reckless is not losing a lot of CS into what is a difficult matchup.
Well, one of the reasons is that when they go aggressive, a guy like Caps has already left the mid lane. I want to encourage people to look at the minimap whenever they see fights in the bottom lane because Fnatic are moving. So right here, Nuclear and Shade, they have to respect. It's not a 2v2. Maybe Broxa is there. Maybe Caps has already moved his way down. And that's the problem for this pushing lane of H2K, is they know if they do play too aggressive, they will get ganked.
Right, and it's not only that, it's a different laning pattern in the bot lane as well when it is a 2v2, because if Twitch drops away, you don't know whether he's in stealth. Maybe it's a little bit more like mid lane where you're dropping into Fog of War. Here we go. They don't know where Reckless is. Is he coming forward? Are they going aggressive? So many questions here. And, he missed it.
The Cocoon missed, but it's not going to stop the engage. Jesus goes all the way forward with that hook shot. They managed to get Summon a heal, but nothing else.
And this is again how Fnatic are going to play out this lane here. They have the setup from the Camille support. They have the stealth from Reckless, and then they just bring support every time.
Oh, route onto Reckless. He manages to sidestep the Piltover Peacemaker. Summon a spell used from Jesus, though.
Yeah, Exhaust comes out. That is obviously now one summoner in exchange. Jankos wants to try and compensate a little bit for this. Only level 5, though. But you can see Fnatic are probably going to try that a couple of times. Have Jesus move forward when Reckless is out of vision, and H2K will respect it. They always do this in the bottom lane, but it looks like we might be having a 3v3 in the bot.
Let's see.
Indeed, Trey gets jumped on. That passive shield gonna be helping out from Camille. Flash for flash. Jez is looking for Nuclear. He's gonna get dropped. Jankos is stuck in the pit. Contaminate's available. Jumps onto Jesus. At least takes one. Trades for a second. That's a double for Jankos. Reckless is running under tower. Looking for the auto in the E. Not gonna be able to kill Che. And Che's poison backs him away. Jump into the top lane. Odo gets body barrel bopped forward. Soaz throws out the barrel and continuing to flash away. Soaz wins the fight.
A lot of good trading here early on. Soaz with that Gragas pick in top lane will beat out the other tanks, but bot lane, Nuclear was all over the place. Wait for that replay. I think he panicked in the moment. But also Jankos, he was mainly here to try and make sure they could push the lane out and go back to base. A pre-level 6 Rengar doesn't really want to fight here. But obviously, look at Nuclear in this fight. So he trades it first, then he ends up standing with Reckless, and he actually nets
nothing
to the side. And then realizes he's actually netting into the Elise queue. And then has to flash away. But
it's not over yet. Here they all come.
All right, Nuclear's the target.
TP.
Cocoon connects. Nuclear gets knocked up into the air. Jesus finds the kill. Fnatic with their 4th of the game, and they're going to hammer away at this tower.
This is exactly what Fnatic needed to do at the beginning of this game, and Fnatic are continuing what they've done with this bot lane aggression.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, in the last few weeks when Fnatic were picking up their wins, early game tower pressure helping them out. Tower first blood secured today, and while Caps is under pressure, on average, Fnatic are taking 2.2 towers before 15 minutes in the last 2 weeks.
That's an obscene amount of towers being taken. The average hovers around 1, just above. But to give you an insight as to how monumental it is against H2K specifically, H2K are the league's best team at defending their towers. They only give away half a tower per game, but they're all over the place so far.
All over the place is almost Jankos, who manages to back away. But yes, crucial. H2K historically have defended the towers, but they lost it this time around, Deficio.
And also throughout history, whenever H2K play against a team who throws a lot of curveballs in the early game, who play very aggressive in the early game, they can struggle. And we've seen this time and time again. Bot lane was under pressure. They wanted to push it out with Jankos. They ended up in a fight, lost multiple members, and then return gang from Fnatic. Like, the Twitch Camille in itself would be difficult to play. But when you have an Elise there, when you have a LeBlanc coming down as well, then suddenly that lane can set up fights. And that's what Fnatic have been doing here. It's a really well-executed early game. And H2K were just simply not ready.
There's one stumbling block that may arise soon, though, and that is the fact that Odo Amne's TP is up, both TPs from Fnatic are down. If there is the potential for a play for H2K to stabilize some of this early game lead that Fnatic have accrued, maybe it's in the next minute and a half, but it is a small window that they've got.
Yeah, it's difficult to use as well when now this bot lane tower is down. That kind of opens up. You saw Fnatic went top lane, shoved in the wave, and they didn't stay.
Yeah. Because
if they stayed, they actually allowed Omni right now potential plays. So now they actually just like, let H2K push out, figure out, do we want to take the wave really far back so we can't get TP'd on? And that's what they're doing right now. They're allowing H2K to push out that lane to avoid a potential TP play.
That's good heads-up coordination from Fnatic. Early game going exactly as they wanted, 3,000 gold up by 10 minutes. They've got a tower lead, they've got a kill lead. They've initiated the swap, as we've mentioned, and it feels like every time we look at Caps, he's putting Febiven under pressure. Great trade to the Shatter Orb. Unfortunately, gets caught up by the stun, and Febiven uses the unleashed power to keep him at bay.
Febiven obviously has compensated a little for this heavy trading when Negatron cloaked first, which isn't too unusual up against one of these high damage mid laners like LeBlanc. You just want to survive through. You don't need to win that early game so heavily. Febiven, he can rest on his Syndra, know that he can catch a couple of people out later on in this game. So we'll have to track his itemization as we go. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be that standard Morellonomicon Abyssal. But Broxah,
who's trapping who? Broxah goes up into the air with Repel, drops back down, flashes over the wall, but Febiven with the sphere picks up a kill.
This time around, H2K actually did manage to get the upper hand. Odamna, though.
Soaz looking like he's won yet another fight. They trade ultimates, but Soaz has the pressure advantage.
Again, this is going to happen all game long. Gragas will keep beating a Nautilus in the side lane. He has so much more damage in his kit, and obviously Nautilus has really no damage to offer back towards the Gragas. So this is a winning side lane for Fnatic all game long. So it's obviously don't want to fight against the jungler as well.
No, he doesn't. Jankos not going to get in range of the bowler strike. Soaz is not backing away, though. Soaz was once famous for dying a lot on a side lane alone. He's playing this one a little safer, recalling in the bush.
Febiven's also around. I think he knows it at this point, so recall out. Don't put yourself too far forward, because Fnatic now, they have to be in a position where they're playing from ahead, which for the last 2 weeks is something they've grown more accustomed to. But plays like this are where H2K may very well turn it back around. Note that Fnatic use their TP to try and save Broxah as well. Twitch Camille couldn't quite collapse, and it means Broxah is out on his own and dies. Caps couldn't save him himself.
Yeah, really good collapse from H2K. I think Fnatic bot lane had already pinged that Nuclear J were missing. It seemed like Broxah didn't get the message. Ended up getting collapsed on by 4 guys. And now Reckless is what he likes to do, and it's why Twitch can actually work for him. He always goes to side lanes to try and catch someone. Even if someone is 1v1ing, he shows up and it's a 2v1 all of a sudden for Fnatic. So Twitch wants to always push his lane and then go missing, because the missing Twitch is so annoying to deal with.
And of course, for Reckless, this is the first time he's playing Twitch this year. Lucian was banned away, Kanan was banned away, Ashe, Varus were banned away, so the champion pool for ADC was hit a lot. But what I like is kind of that evolution of Reckless, because the last 2 weeks, he's been trying to be that solo hero in a side lane. You know, it helped the team get ahead. Then obviously there was that combating for who gets to split push now last week when you looked at Fnatic's team comps. But I'm excited at Reckless in his playmaking mindset on a champion like Twitch, who could appear out of nowhere if it's the right time and if it's the right flanking opportunity.
He's mid lane right now.
Looking for that tower. Caps trying to put the pressure down, but it isn't quite there. But I think the interesting thing about that side lane is Fnatic give so much to Reckless in the side lane. He, you know, has such a big percentage of the CS between 15 and 30 minutes that it actually means Soaz is the lowest CSing top laner. So the fact that Soaz is ahead in this one is a little bit of a benefit to him. Will be able to continue to push through, but watch how much Reckless gets given by Fnatic, and that's really where so much of the strength comes from.
And I want to talk about why Twitch can work even better for him now, after that small rework that happened, where it's no longer the pure stealth, but more this camouflage situation, because his Q allows him to be stealth for much longer than it used to in the early ranks. So 11 seconds right now for him in rank 2, he's stealth. That's enough to move from one lane to another. So that means, again, as soon as he pushes out one lane and he goes missing, he could already, if you don't have proper wards, be right behind you. And that's the thing, if you're Febiven in the mid lane, whenever LeBlanc jumps towards you and Twitch is not on the minimap, you're like, well, he might be right here. And it forces you to play so passive on the map. You sit at your own tower for most of the time.
And I think that's so important, because Soaz is under a little bit of pressure from H2K. H2K historically have not responded the greatest to those surprises. Soaz was forced to flash. There's support coming up now. Reckless with ambush is available. Does he decide to spray and pray? No flash. Shay's gonna get jumped on. Stranglethorns will buy some time. Caps is on the front line. Here comes Jesus. He's got the baby cage. Not gonna use it yet. Double kill for Fnatic. They back away and set their sights to the tower.
And right here, you get exactly that kind of situation where H2K do not see a lot of Fnatic members on the minimap, and they know someone could be there, but it's too late for them to turn around, and then suddenly Source engages, Caps from the flank, Reckless coming in with stealth, and it's 5 members showing up out of nowhere.
But what a great start for Fnatic, utilizing that play style, punishing H2K for not adapting so far. And as you said, there have been a couple of these exchanges where in the moment, if you can keep that in mind, ping that somebody is missing, maybe you can rescue it. But it's so different to what H2K used to playing against here in Europe. And that's why it's catching them. I want to see them adapt and respect it as this game and maybe even series continues, but it's not happening so far in game 1.
And this is exactly here you can see H2K not used to playing against this style, because they could have backed away as soon as Source flashed. They couldn't see Caps on the map, they couldn't see Reckless on the map, but they stayed a little bit too long, wanted to just, you know, shove another wave, and then suddenly you get collapsed. And this is the thing, it's not just a new style that Fnatic is pulling out, it's a style they're really playing well. Like, Fnatic are playing so well with this aggressive composition, and that's why they can keep finding these kills.
Even to the individual level, after maybe a bit of a slow start to the season, Jesus has been making plays like that a couple of times now. Catches Nuclear after the flash with the hook shot to make sure he's crowd controlled, and the rest of the team follow up. Fnatic seem to be all on the same page.
Well, Fnatic doing very well. 5,000 gold up. Scatter the Week's just gonna knock Caps away from the tower, and taking a look through some of the itemization, big spikes have come in. Gunblade for Caps a little while ago, Blade of the Ruined King for Reckless. making his way most likely towards a Hurricane, probably. We'll see what the next item is. Soaz also continuing
Will
to
be
scale
Hurricane,
up.
yes.
Yeah.
Twitch obviously wants his Hurricane, and then most of the time Infinity Edge coming in a bit later. So when you sit down that fight, close your eyes, pop your ulti, you suddenly have a triple kill.
It's literally the name of the ability. Spray and pray.
Ah, yeah, we changed it
That
back.
is- that's
Thank
it.
God, we changed it back.
Yes, it is no longer Rat-a-tat-tat, H2K or Splat.
Just never say that name again.
I might have
Ever.
to throw it out there, just because I know you love it so much, Deficio.
Just spray and pray, man.
I'm a little more frustrated that it's still Contaminate on Twitch.
And not expunge anymore. Yeah, I keep wanting to say expunge, but that's
cool
the other
word.
button you got to press in a team fight. You
That's
can close,
true.
as long as you've got your hand on the keyboard and you know where that key is, there's one button at the end and everybody dies.
Well, that's exactly what Fnatic want. They're 2 towers to 0. This is going to be 3 towers to 0. It's H2K. Simply no one available to defend, and now no outer towers either.
And this also comes down to Soaz winning that bot lane so hard, because you can see the minimap of the minions here are all the way at Oramne's tier 2 tower. That means Soaz again just pushes out and he goes into the jungle where there is no vision. So if you are a Syndra, are you going to defend the tower when the big Gragas can come from the side and just kill you in a second? No, you're not. You're going to step away. You have to. And that allows Fnatic to get more damage here on these turrets, and that's why it's 3-0 in terms of the towers.
And you can't understate how big of an achievement that is against H2K. We saw the stats, 0.47 on average at 15 minutes in their games. Nobody really has pushed H2K around in this fashion very often at all. They've only lost to a handful of teams. G2 and UOL, or Featherman, he might lose his life.
Is that Twitch?
Indeed, Mike's going to trade for Reckless. Flash forward. It's Jankos that gets the kill. Teleport's coming in for Soaz. It's so far a 1-for-1. Now a teleport from Odo Wamne. Jesus puts on the Hextech ultimatum, and Odo cancels the TP. Fnatic bite back a 1-for-2.
So 2-for-1 Fnatic here. We saw the Twitch sneaking into that mid lane. Bot lane from H2K. Nuclear and Oramne together. We're trying to push that bottom tower, and Fnatic just reacted instantly. And now they're going for that tower.
Yeah, Fnatic not done yet. There's not enough wave clear from H2K. And Fnatic will take themselves another tower.
And that's the thing, is Nuclear has to respect these paths through the jungle. He can't just walk from bottom to mid. He has to recall, go the long way back out and through the base, and they can't defend mid tower either.
Yeah, as soon as we get this replay again, we can see that well set up from Fnatic, but also I think we got to look at right after. Never mind, talk about after. Let's just look at the replay. This is the Twitch out of vision, sneaks into mid. As Syndra, you can't get away properly. So getting a 1-for-1 first is fine, but now look at your minimap. Nautilus and Caitlyn is in the bottom lane. That is why Fnatic, they can just keep chasing.
Yeah, TP even got cancelled out there. They knew Che was pretty much a goner at the end of that team fight. Fnatic get it, the tower from mid as well from that. This is such a good start.
This is fantastic for Fnatic. They're putting pressure down in the bottom lane, as you can see. Reckless with support from both Broxah and Jesus. They're going to be trading outer turret for inner, but Fnatic are not done yet.
Now, this is a problem for H2K. They want to just stop the bleeding. They want to just get further into this game, because this crazy style where Fnatic can sneak around the map and look for skirmishes all the time is really effective early on, but sometimes falls a little bit flat much later in the game. But if Fnatic can just close it out before we get there, it's fine.
Well, it's a 6,000 gold lead. Fnatic want to close this game out, gentlemen. In the jungle there, Caps playing very aggressive with the distortion, jumping into H2K over and over. He's feeling confident with his ability to carry.
The problem is, you talk about stopping the bleeding. When you trade outer tower for inner, that's kind of like having a cut on your finger and amputating it, just so you don't have to deal with the problem anymore. So for Fnatic, again, getting these key objectives, making the lanes longer. Now every time Odo Amne goes into that bottom lane, no more is that tower there for safety. It could be anybody, but now it's Soaz that is pushed up, but maybe a little far in the lane. Team on around him.
He's very tanky, though. It takes a long time to drop him down, and Soaz is able to flash and body slam to safety. Some golf claps from the people in the crowd here in Berlin.
So, H2K, before we had that replay, they weren't able to spot any rotations any place because they had almost no wards on the map. Now, they went back. They bought a few control wards. They're trying to set up that defensive vision in their own jungle, as you guys can see on the minimap here. But again, it allows Fnatic to just take control of the river, where the Baron is. Yes, it's early on. You can't really just nuke it down this quickly. But it means now H2K, for the next 5 or 6 minutes, they're going to have to try and make sure Fnatic can't take a free Baron, because that's how Fnatic can close out the game.
And H2K playing from a gigantic deficit. I mean, 6,000 gold at this stage is really, really impressive stuff for Fnatic. But now we get to judge, right, how clean is their vision play and their map play? Because Fnatic used some shenanigans in the last few weeks. They're going to be more comfortable. And look at this, Febiven almost solo killed. Reckless gets the kill secure with spray and pray. And now in a 5v4, Fnatic have to decide where they prioritize.
Yeah, Fnatic just catching out another member of H2K. Now they've got 0-1. Will they force his flash here?
Well, let's find out. Flashes over the wall. Jankos decides to jump into 5. He's locked by the ultimatum. Where's the support, Jankos?
And Jankos had been the one tidying up the last few fights, getting a kill here and there. The only one on H2K looking okay, but now Fnatic want more.
Yeah, Fnatic say, screw the Baron, we want the base. Jez dashes in with that hook shot, turns the attention onto Odo. He gets sent packing, and Reckless sends him to the pit. That's a flash forward for Broxah. That's H2K, they're ace, and the base is being destroyed too.
Where has this Fnatic been? They started to emerge just 2 weeks ago, and now it looks like they're on the verge of game 1 of this best of 5 going their way.
So they get the inhib for now. We'll have to just back away, but there's really nothing H2K can get in return. I feel like almost every fight has gone in favor of Fnatic, and every time H2K just had a small little win, all they got was a few more minions and nothing else. They have 1 tower in this entire game, which means they have 0 map control, and that's why Febiven ends up getting caught in the start. Another great catch. Like, look at this. He can't see Reckless. It's just caps, but that's already enough.
And then H2K kind of filter in and say, okay, maybe we can disrupt them, stop them, but they overcommit. Jankos jumps right in on his own.
Why? I don't know what Jankos saw or what was being communicated. Che is miles away.
I think he thinks he can catch Reckless, and he goes for Broxah at first after the knockup, and then just instantly Fnatic.
This is what happens when everything has gone wrong. When everything you're prepped for a week for game 1 suddenly gets thrown out the window because the Shen, Kennen, and Lee Sin that you removed open up for Fnatic to play some other comfort picks all of a sudden. No one knew the Twitch was going to be one of them, but Reckless has played a fantastic Twitch game where it's been impossible due to very, very poor defensive vision for H2K to ever really spot him leave.
We're only 25 minutes into this game, and I think we just have to remind everybody, it was Brox's ability in the early game to find impacts that started things going well for Fnatic. He ganked top for first blood, he ganked bottom for some support to get summoners, repeat gank for kills. Broxah on Elise has shown up in the beginning of the series.
Definitely so. Lee Sin used to be the pick for him. It still definitely is up there as one of the most important ones. H2K though, sadly for them, don't have like 10 bans to use. Reckless is now hiding around, because suddenly for game 2 you're thinking, Twitch? Maybe we should get rid of him in the second ban phase. Okay, that might be an option. Elise is going to be difficult to remove as well, because you're already banning Shen, Lee Sin, Kennen. And you start really questioning, do we have the correct bans after already 1 game?
And that means we may have a very exciting series. If Fnatic have answers to, can we win without Shen, Lee Sin, and Kennen? The answer seems to be a resounding yes. Maybe this isn't as one-sided of a quarterfinal that everybody was expecting. Playoff buffs, plot armor, whatever the hell you want to call it, Fnatic want it and they want to win.
H2K just playing on the verge of safety here. There's danger all around them as Reckless comes out of his stealth, but they have to respect this. They've started to, as Soaz dropped off the map from the bottom side, they actually fell back, and H2K just defended just outside their base. It was no overcommit from H2K this time around.
And also no overcommit from Fnatic, because what Fnatic was doing here was they were escorting the minion wave all the way to H2K's base, because this means the wards that H2K have placed behind Fnatic in this jungle will slowly disappear. Except for, of course, that control ward. Everything else will suddenly be gone, and H2K can't see anything. By Fnatic stopping them from ever entering the jungle before the Baron is started.
And you could hear Jankos use his ultimate to try and maybe threaten Fnatic and pull them back away, but Fnatic have already started. Remember, that's Blade of the Ruined King on this Twitch as well. We'll take it down quickly. Ooh, Jez is 2v4.
This is careful. Caps coming in from behind. Fnatic are split up. Reckless is hammering away onto Odoamne. The front line for H2K is already melted down. Caps is the target. Unleashed Power takes him out. But it's a tank and a support for a mid laner. Fnatic in a 4v3. Febby, Nuclear, Jankos are running away. And Fnatic, how do they play the next few minutes?
Well, let's see if they can do more here. They're trying to set a little trap. Jankos, no ulti. Febiven is top lane pushing out. Not a whole lot of mana left. And Nuclear is in base. So Fnatic know where all the members are, except for the Rengar. But they're not really too afraid of Jankos right now.
Right, and at that point, Nuclear is so far back in the base that H2K daren't try and contest for a Baron here. So Fnatic may very well just pull back. But you can see they're not quite all focused on that objective. They don't want to go against Jankos with his flash available. Don't want it stolen away.
No, it just becomes a reset for Fnatic. They know we're still 9k gold ahead. Only 27 minutes into this game. It's
fantastic.
still very early. This is a fight. No overcommitment again from Fnatic until they know every member is ready to fight. They're waiting for Caps on the flank. They're waiting for Broxy to enter, and then they go in. Really good communication from Fnatic in these fights here.
Yeah, Reckless pops his ultimate late on into that exchange. He just whittled Odoamne down, but I guess it's a nice reset point for Fnatic, right? When you're a whole item and a half ahead of the enemy Caitlyn at 27 minutes into the game. Caitlyn normally needs time, but you're never going to get there at this game.
Interesting Frozen Mallet choice here from Reckless. Obviously give them a bit of extra HP, which can definitely help against ultis from the Syndra, but also when it comes down to just adding a bit of utility, honestly, because your team have enough damage right now. And if you can keep HK in check, you can take them down.
And you saw it in the last fight. Odoamne couldn't get away, and maybe it'll happen again at this Baron here. Fnatic are on it. It's gone. No vision.
Safe, simple, secured from Fnatic. They had vision control. Caps was playing a human blocker to anybody that wanted to try to get through him.
And that's the thing here now. If we look at the comps again, like H2K's composition, everything they drafted for, everything they were going to play for, it just fell apart. Almost 5-6 minutes into the game. The Zyra Caitlyn was supposed to be that really strong dual lane they secured by sacrificing Odoamne a little bit in the top lane with the Nautilus. They're like, it's fine. Our bot lane is insanely strong. That bot lane got ganked and killed a lot in the early game. 0-3, 0-4, lost the first tower super quickly. Suddenly the Zyra Caitlyn, they don't have anywhere to go. Caitlyn in the mid game, who didn't win lane, is completely useless compared to Reckless, who's been all over the place.
At this point, all you do is lay traps down and become somewhat of a delay.
Here's another support.
That's it. Yeah, you
like, here's a trap.
Someone steps on it, you get crowd control, and the wave can't really push through. But that's only in one lane. Meanwhile, Fnatic are up in the top lane, pushing another tower down. Shay just lost half his health.
Yeah, just one combo from Caps forces Shay away. Gunblade and Hourglass is available to Caps if he can find a squishy target. So I'm looking at Febiven and Nuclear. Caps instead just gonna hop over this trap line. Reckless will be looking to fix another inhibitor for Fnatic. That's gonna go down with 0 contest from H2K. And Baron is already proving to be worthwhile.
It's so good to see a team all in on the early game, get the advantage, and then actually play it out safely. They have not tried for any mega aggressive plays where we're like, oh, H2K can actually get back in the game here. No, it's every time, it's just move in at the correct time, get an inhib, get a Baron. Reckless is behind Jankos at the moment.
This is now the first super aggressive play. Spray and praise down. Reckless is backing away from the depth charge. H2K have survived the initial onslaught. Caps is forced to back away, and the barrel and the autos, that gets Reckless his 8th kill. It's Caps that gets another. He loses his life in exchange, though, as Soaz is now rooted up by the bowler strike. Inhibitor turret falls down, and Soaz has found Febiven. Not enough damage to follow through. Keep your eyes on Reckless, bottom of the screen, still on full HP. Inhibitor is standing up, and Soaz doesn't care about H2K. He's been hammered on this entire fight. Baby Cage is put down, and Jesus is deciding to run away. He gets killed by Scatter the Weak, and Reckless is blown up by the unleashed power. Fnatic, this is getting messy at the end.
And H2K played that fight out carefully. They were trying not to commit anything too much, and it meant the Fnatic drawn into a longer fight where Caps wasn't in the second half, meant that Reckless was a little more afraid, trying not to over push into the base, trying not to take too much of a fight. Fnatic still carefully, patiently trying to play these fights out.
Let's remember there's still a tower as well for H2K at the start of the fight, which actually after this first engage ends up going down, and then the fight kind of continues. Caps dives and gets the kill. Sadly for him, the knock-up from Zyra coming right after the Hourglass. And now you can see the rest of Fnatic actually taking down this turret while there's still a fight going on. And just ends up, in the end, being a few kills for H2K. But that's a small price, very small one. And Fnatic can still be aggressive.
You can see how H2K are moving forward, but as a group, they know there's still a Camille ultimate possibility available. And from that point, Jesus is a little overextended. Nuclear even comes up, puts himself forward because he knows a lot of the crowd control is actually gone there. So there's some safety for him to at least put damage out in return. We're back to Odo Omne.
Yeah, Odo's in trouble. Caps and Jez is trying to take him down. Jankos is off in the flank. On the minimap, Reckless is making his way up from middle lane. Not even needed in that exchange.
And from being composed, calm in the base for H2K, Odo Omne out on the side lane. I don't know when the last time I saw 0-6-0 for Odo Omne is, but they got to think, when was the last time they saw Reckless? Because he's moving right into the base already up on that inhibitor.
He is indeed. Jankos is going to get caught out by the chains. No follow-up damage, and Reckless will take down this inhibitor. A couple autos needed to finish it off. And now H2K, Super's in 2 lanes. I'm looking at the minimap. Bottom lane, minions are very far away, but they will slowly make their way up. Fnatic may need to go and just give them a helping hand towards that bottom lane.
Definitely so. No Baron for them to take. Get a red buff. I guess it's almost as good if you're Reckless right now. And we kind of wait for these super minions to push in. We wait for that bot lane wave to move slowly but surely towards H2K's base. And I guess if you're Fnatic, trying to set another trap.
Reckless has a Banshee's Veil at this point. He's gone double defensive item, but look at how much damage he's going to put out if he gets his hands on a squishy target.
All right, very short jump there from Jesus. Spray and pray, the trigger was pulled, but everyone from H2K was successfully able to disengage. Reckless caught a little bit of CC that he maybe wasn't expecting. And yeah, just keep looking at the minimap. When that minion wave crashes into the tower, that's when Fnatic peel away.
Fnatic didn't go back to base because they didn't really have a whole lot of gold on them. I just checked on my screen here, like some of them sitting around 800, 900 gold. Not massive at this point. So they were actually waiting for this big wave, and they're still waiting for it. Slow and steady, it's on its way. But what they're doing is they're allowing the wave to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Had they walked down and just pushed out the wave, this wave would have been maybe like 6-7 minions. But by allowing just the creeps to kind of fight each other, you wait for more and more of these blue minions to join, and it becomes this massive army in the end. But they gotta actually go and grab it, and they end up just saying, never mind, Baron is coming.
Exactly. And
no, he's gonna die for nothing.
But what the waves will do is they've drawn Nuclear to the bot side now. It is a minute, so we should be able to get for Baron, but this allowed Fnatic to get a recall and now put wards down. So perhaps while it's not the most orthodox and best way of utilizing such a big wave.
Alone. They were like baiting them, these minions, be like, guys, we'll join you, don't worry, just become massive.
As long as
let them die.
As long as Fnatic get control of the Baron.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
they
definitely
should
fine.
be fine at this point of the game.
It's official, first person ever to care about the minions.
I mean, come on, if you tell them the battle plan and then just before you're supposed to do something, you just back away and let them die for nothing. Kind of rude.
Just poor leadership, you know?
Yes. Not respecting the minions.
There's probably a lot of military strategy based around.
It probably is.
Days, but Caps, he's there to lead them. He's going
to send them in as well.
He's got teleport available, so Caps can join if any fight follows up. Gentlemen, even though Fnatic didn't have the most amount of money to spend a few minutes ago, they've got 2 GAs for Brox and Soas. Gonna extend this next team fight even further. And what a message, what a signal to fans and to everybody watching for Fnatic in this opening game. Their 3 most successful champions in the last 2 weeks were banned away. And Fnatic said, we don't care. We can play even better without them, at least in game 1.
I think a massive message being sent to Fnatic's own fans is that sticking with them has paid off to some respect. Like, they have improved here. Obviously, it's a best of 5. This is H2K we're talking about at the same time. They still have weathered so much in the last 15 minutes, and they are still in this game. There's that opportunity where if Fnatic overcommit in one area, if you give a couple more kills over to Febiven and Nuclear, this game could be back on. But it's such a big disparity right now that this Baron would mean certain victory for Fnatic, surely.
Flash away from Che. He is caught up by the Cocoon. Baron is not 100% the focus for Fnatic. Jankos has got his smite and his flash available.
There's no vision in there. They have no wards in the Baron bit, so they don't know, and they just have to back away because you got super minions top lane, you got Caps bot lane. Fnatic, again, is never allowing H2K a steal. It's good to see our top teams here coming into playoffs, really having worked on that Baron setup and how you actually execute it, because it is so important.
I'm so glad you say that, because it's very different types of Barons. You know, this game alone, how Fnatic set up the vision earlier for a safe clear. This time around, they were respecting the potential for Jankos and applying pressure with caps in the bottom lane. I mean, he'd got a little bit of chip damage onto that inhibitor turret. But with Baron, rinse and repeat, what do you think? Middle lane inhib into bottom lane if the minions are stuck?
Definitely
Possibility.
seems to be some of the only options for
It's a
them.
definite possibility, Deficio.
There's not a lot of lanes you can pick right now if you are Fnatic, if you want to go kill something.
Gotta get that red buff up in under a minute. That's where you gotta
That's
go
important.
Deficio, remember? Quote it, Deficio, just about as good as Baron, red buff, 2017.
Hey, if your AD carry is Reckless, who's 8-2-7 on Twitch, give him that red buff, he's gonna do some serious damage.
Especially
not because of the red buff, but still.
Just completed that Infinity Age. You can see the total damage dealt to champions this game. Double his opposite number. Now, of course, Reckless has been leading the way, has been flanking and going on those assassinations as well. Gonna be helping out. No contest of Elder plus Baron. This should be now safe clean.
And I just love watching a Twitch player in Europe really executing the champion. Because every time we go to international tournaments and we see like Koreans use Twitch against any Western team, it's like, it's just doomed from the Western team. Instant, they will die 500 times to Twitch and then they have to ban it. So seeing Reckless in a game one executed this well is actually really, really nice to see. Not something we see very often.
And that's why I think H2K may well just ban it away. We were talking about it earlier, about how they adjust, because like Kennen is such a more, I use this loosely, straightforward champion to play around. Twitch, you got to think so much more about where he is, but Fnatic, they know where they are, pushing right into H2K's base here. Inhib in the mid lane's nearly dead, as is bot tower.
Yeah, look at that. Caps can just peel away from the mid inhibitor, go apply pressure on the top. While that's happening, the rest of Fnatic are grouping up in the bottom lane. H2K are down 14,000 gold. They've got no base left to stand. Caps has got an inhibitor. Reckless is putting pressure. Like, there's nothing for H2K to do.
And Banshees means no depth charge, no hook, no stun, if that's the first thing coming in. So Reckless is moving towards the base because he knows he's safe enough. His flash is up, his heal is up. He should be able to get away from any situation.
Well, should be able to if it's even needed. That's a defensive flash from Nuclear. Brox is caught out by the bowler strike, and Shay is the one that ends up going down. He's popped by Reckless. Jesus comes in with the Hextech ultimatum, and H2K are routed and running for their lives. Oda1ness being rattled upon as Reckless chases, flashing away there from Jesus, getting out of the damage. H2K have only lost one, make that two. The inhibitor has fallen. Super minions are being ushered onto the Nexus turrets, and a 5-man Fnatic take down the first Nexus turret. Soaz goes forward. Jesus is putting damage onto Featherfin. They're keeping the H2K members busy as the Nexus is the focus. Fnatic with a few more auto attacks. They're striking first against H2K in the quarterfinals.
What an impressive game one from Fnatic. They lost the key picks, Kennen, Shen, Lee Sin. They showed something new with Twitch. Jess is on his support. Camille actually had a really good game as well. And the way they played around that bottom lane was fantastic. And I think this is the kind of game now where H2K will kind of look at the draft and be like, okay, are there more picks we got to get rid of? Because like, think back. Jankos took the Rengar when no jungler had been shown from Boxer. That could have been an Elise if you wanted to take that early.